Hi, welcome back to the channel. My name is Marcy, and this is going to be a very weird video because I kind of don't know what I want to talk about. No, actually, I do. I'm currently in Kenya. Took a short break because I wanted to come and do a project that I'd been talking about with a friend of mine for a while. So my friend has this children empowerment, but she focuses mostly on girls, and it's in Kisumu. And we had been talking about it for a while, and she was telling me about a mentoring program that they do. So I wanted to be part of it. And sometimes I find it's okay to help in the way you can, but sometimes even just physically being there makes a difference. So I was lucky that I had something else that I needed to come do in Nairobi, so we managed to combine the two, and so I came to do this, and it was really, really, I do not regret it one bit. I did it with a very good friend of mine, and it was something that both of us felt really good about doing at the end of the day. However, in the planning process of this thing, I noticed something which I would not have noticed had I not taken part in this. So we visited 3 schools. All the 3 schools were mixed schools. And the plan originally was that we would call the girls and then have a conversation with them, because that's actually what we wanted to do. We wanted to have a safe space to talk about some of these things. And it does make sense that if you can't really get people to open up when they are not feeling safe. So, teenagers, young teenagers, some of these conversations, because we're going to be talking about sexual reproductive health and all this, and it might be uncomfortable, because fine, they might find it funny and giggly and not want to be serious about it when they're in a mixed group, but then they would be more comfortable to talk when they're in safe space where it's just clear and open. Now, I got to thinking about how it was for us, which I am not sure. I mean, I'm not an anthropologist, but I'm just wondering if this might explain some of the issues we have right now. Okay, humans are humans and we will always be strange creatures. However, I'm wondering if some of the problems we have now could have been avoided if some of the things that were done in the 80s and 90s were done differently. Here is what I can tell you. For those who are younger than me, which is, I'm hoping most of you, when I was growing up, so like I would say in the early to mid 90s, there was a lot of girl child empowerment everywhere. There were posters everywhere talking about girls being sent to school, and there was literally a song that used to sing every evening before the news, reminding parents to send their girl child to school. And now the song is going to be stuck in my head the whole day, but it has been stuck in my head for the past few days, to be fair. And it was just really there, and all this was so much there that we knew that, okay, girl child education is endangered and something has to be done about it, and it was really done about it. And then there was, Always had just come into the market in Kenya, and there used to be pads that were called Stay Free, and they were mostly what teenage girls used to use. And they had also just come up with a version of it that had wings. So you all had Stay Free with wings coming to the schools, and you had Always coming to the schools, and they used to come and call girls from girls who were like 12 and above, used to be called and put in a hall, and then we would be given education. So we would be told about pregnancies, we would be told about HIV, we would be told about pads and hygiene, and all this time they're still encouraging you to make sure you stay in school, to make sure you take care of yourself. There was just really, really a lot of let's have a conversation, and it was nice. I cannot say that there was anything wrong with that. But while we were planning this, it hit me that during that time, it was free period for boys. Boys were in the class doing absolutely nothing. And maybe this was not the case for all schools, but I'm suspecting, judging from social media and how men my age are acting, I'm suspecting this was the case in most schools. So I did not go to a private school. I went to a public school. And I remember the boys used to just be left in class and told, well, read. Now, depending on where you are, some places in Nairobi at the time, kids went to school because they were told you have to go to school. There was, there was not that much motivation. And I just so happened to have been in a school which was like that, where nobody's going to read if the teacher is not there to make sure that they're reading. And so you have girls being given all this valuable 360-degree kind of holistic growth where you're being told things, and then you have boys being told whatever. And even when we had like career talks and things like that, it was like, oh, the first woman what? And now, it's a big deal. But then the men, it's just, yeah, he's an engineer. And, oh, yeah, it's okay. So there was nothing encouraging them to try and break barriers. Nobody was pushing them, boys, to break barriers, but the girls were being pushed to break barriers. So when you see millennial women now, well, we're becoming girls again. I think when we reach perimenopause, we go back to being girls, right? Because our hormones are all over the place. So we are back to being girls. But anyway, millennial women, when you see us, you find that we're very aggressive. We really want to just get things done. But then the millennial men are more chilled. They are more, okay, let's do this. I am not an anthropologist, so I might not get this right. And if somebody thinks that I'm very wrong, I would really like to hear it in the comment section. Please tell me if I'm wrong. But I think this is part of where the problem started, because the only thing that the boys were told is they have to be providers. And they were told you have to provide for your family because that's, okay, they were told, but that's also what they saw. They saw their fathers providing, and most of the fathers of the millennials, let's keep remembering, I keep reminding you people on this channel, those were people who were born before Kenya was independent. So most of our parents, their job was to get a job, stay employed, which was forever. Your one job was going to keep you in employment forever, and raise your children. Now, the father had to make sure that everything is done. The father had to make sure that all the children's school fees was paid. He did not even have to care about how these children are performing. That was the mother's job. He did not have to even go to parents' days and all these family events. That was the mother's job. He did not even have to parent these kids. Did he even need to know the names of these children? No, he just needed to make sure, he just brought in the money. And well, most of our mothers also worked, but their money was more for buying the vegetables and I guess doing and filling in where the father did not. That's basically how it looked to us. Maybe it was different. I was young, so I'm seeing how it looked to us. The father was the provider. And that's how the boys saw it. They were going to grow up and be providers. However, who was telling them how to be this provider? Because the provider was out there providing. And when I talk to men my age, most of them, they find it strange that their sisters used to sit and have conversations with their mothers because they're like, oh, my dad was so strict. There was nothing to discuss with him. He tells you what you're supposed to do and that's it. Okay. But girls had conversations with mothers and they knew all the things. And I think there's a video that I said when I was talking about domestic violence and all these men who keep saying, our mothers put up with this, our mothers put up with this. I kept saying that the difference is your mother, if you ask your sisters, they would have a different version of how that household was because they saw it from a different angle, from their mother's angle, and their mothers actually talked to them. And women, we kind of talk and we share things. So they kind of had the experience of being told the truth about growing up, about being an adult. Boys, on the other hand, were left to conclude things, and it was being done by a father who was doing what he's supposed to do, which is provide. And providing did not look like sitting at home and discussing with your boys how they are supposed to be when they are men. It was, you watch me, this is what you're supposed to do, and this is what you are going to do. And that was it. And because of this, I feel by the time we were reaching high school, the difference had started to, in my circle, for example, I could already see the difference. The girls were very, I'm going to go to university. I have 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 to do it. So at least in my circle, that's what I saw. The boys, it was, I need to be entrepreneurial. I need to be self-employed. They all started thinking about all these other things that were not, I'm not going to say they were not good, because quite a lot of them ended up being quite successful, but they did not have one track mind. All they were thinking about was, at some point, I'm going to be needed to step up. Now let me start preparing how I'm going to step up. And they were preparing for stepping up. Now, when you come from a place where I'm looking at some of my friends and thinking, okay, they went to university, they finished, they had been pushed and told, you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this. So they become more aggressive when it comes to looking for opportunities, when it comes to looking for jobs, when it comes to looking for, scholarships and things like that. They become more aggressive because you've been told there's no space for women. So you're out here fighting. However, men were told this is automatic. You will get a job. You will be providing for your family. Your job is just to sit there and provide for your family. I'm giving that pause for us to see the difference. The girls have been told, it is a hard world out there. You have to fight for everything you have. You have to fight for everything you want. Nobody wants you to succeed. You have to be your own friend. Boys have been told, worry not. We are good. All you have to do is just be ready to provide. And then they reach adulthood and things have changed. Things have changed because now the girl has decided, okay, I am not going to be like my mother. I am not going to be told what I can do. I have worked hard to break barriers, and so now I want to be that thing that I had been told I cannot be. The boy feels like, well, that thing that you want to be is what I'm supposed to be being. The girl child is thinking, no, I'm not going to be the person who is sitting at home or who is waiting for you to provide, because I don't think you will respect me if you're the one providing. And the boy is thinking, no. My entire being means I need to be providing for you. And then it starts being this clash, because at some point these people are supposed to be marrying each other or things like that. So you're left with two options. Either the girl marries somebody from the generation before, who are still in her father's generation, the providers, the ones who actually have the means to provide, or she marries this person who is in the same age bracket as her, but then they have the conflict of, what exactly are we doing here? And then now we have had babies and our children are now confused, because it's just hard, because it's really hard. And I think one of the ways that this correction can be done is, whatever has been done has been done. And of course, there is no way I will ever justify violence, and there's no day I'm ever going to say that it's okay to kill a woman just because you feel a certain kind of way. Because I think the other thing that we are making a mistake in is infanticizing men, making it seem like men don't grow past 3 years old, that if they get angry, they cannot control their anger and they can only act in a certain kind of way. I think that's just a wrong way to be looking at men. I think we have to teach them that when you do some things, they have consequences. So there's no day I'm ever going to say it's okay for a man to kill a woman because she decided the relationship is over or whatever. There's also no day that I'm ever going to say that it is okay for somebody to take advantage of somebody else, whether it's a man taking advantage of a woman or a woman taking advantage of a man. I don't think that's fair. I mean, as somebody who has been heartbroken once or twice, or three, well, whatever. As somebody who has been heartbroken, heartbreak is painful. Do you know the first time I was ever dumped? I cried so much and I was throwing up and I thought my heart was actually going to come out of my mouth. That is how painful that thing was. So heartbreak is painful. And I can understand somebody going like, how can you do this to me? And I can even go further and understand somebody going like, you knew that you felt nothing for me and yet you still did this. But let me break it something down to you boys. Man, do you know that is exactly what many, many, many women go through? We go through a man being with somebody just because she's convenient. And then once the person gets a little bit of money, then all of a sudden you are not beautiful enough for me. I need somebody with a better figure. I need somebody younger. I need what? And yet you still live to tell your story. You still live to enjoy your life with that other person. And most of the time you leave a very broken woman behind. And so heartbreak is something that's normal. But on the other hand, remember, while we were being given these lessons on how to have a holistic life and how to work hard and how to do all these things, the boys were in the classroom making noise because they had been given a free lesson. I don't know why it never occurred to teachers back then, but you know, hindsight is always 2020. I'm sure even us, there are things we are doing that the next generation will come and say, what's wrong with you? I don't know why it never occurred to the male teachers, because the male teachers were not in there with us being taught about always. The male teachers were in the staff room marking books. The female teachers were with us getting free samples of always like everybody else. But the male teachers were in the staff room. Why couldn't they be in the classrooms with the boys and talk to the boys? Who was talking to the boys? They were talking to each other and thinking, oh, the girls are getting free goodies, we never get anything. The girls are getting this, we never get that. And maybe even that's where the resentment starts. Because then, as much as they don't even need this, which 11, 12-year-old does not get jealous when their sibling gets something? I mean, they are not, well, some of them are our siblings, but they don't get something and we get that, okay? So for me, I feel like in conclusion, I think the correction needs to be done. We need to make sure that the correction is not too much, because the other risk is we now risk, and I'm seeing this coming back quite a lot, we now risk coming to the other side where the misogyny is just too much, but there has to be a point somewhere in between. And that's where I'm hoping that we can find. Now, please, in the comment section, I would really like to hear from girls, it's okay, but I would like to hear from young men or boys who think that the entire thing, the girls were being empowered and nobody was talking to the boys. So there's a bit of inequality from the beginning, which is why they are just lost and they don't know what to do. Or if they just feel like whatever is happening is fine and they don't really mind it, they don't really care. I don't even think it's not caring, or maybe I just believe too much in humanity. Okay, that's it for today, and I look forward to the next video. Now, in the next video, maybe I will finally get enough time. I will probably do it when I'm back in my apartment, and I can give you the breakdown of my mentoring trick. Bye bye.